Hello again, YouTube! This is Dr. Kendo, and I'm here with Scribblenauts Unlimited. This is going to be for Bendy and the Ink Machine Chapter 2. We're going to be doing two specific characters. One was a speed create that I had done throughout the week of right here. You can see it, the crazy ink monster evil Bendy right there. And since that was a speed create, I am going to go over the details kind of more slowly and at the normal pacing of episodes for how to create that character. But first, let's go ahead and do a brand new character, of course, which is going to be Sammy Lawrence, as you could probably see in the title and the description of this episode. We're going to start off with the bodybuilder as the source object, and that was mostly actually because the bodybuilder does have this kind of ripped chest, but it looks like a lot of the sort of inky body detail, I guess, on Sammy Lawrence that you can see, you know, when the player is in the chair and all that. We'll talk about that later. Of course, this is just minor spoilers, I guess, because we are going to talk about this character in general and some things that happen, so just know that. We use the letter I for the overalls, so that's what the two overall pieces are right there, and we got gravy down beneath the overall, so it's kind of under by layer, but it is over the torso, and that's just, of course, for some ink detail and stuff. His body is all inky there. And so then after that, we'll type in beauty, and we can use the female beauty's back arm, so it's a kind of just peeking out there behind the dress of the beauty, but take that back arm piece. That's the equivalent of going to the 29-page library and on the 20th page grabbing one of those little arm shapes right there if you're in Scribblenauts Unlimited. So unmasked players, you can use this too. Just type in beauty. We got Jenny Greenteeth taking the back arm of Jenny Greenteeth, and so both of these arm pieces are in essence going to create one arm of Sammy. So you notice that I kind of moved out, I turned on the green grids and moved out the arm so that we could kind of see the detail that we're doing, because the Jenny Greenteeth back arm does have a little bit like a little circle near the top of it. So I just wanted to line up those arms so that they looked a little bit more realistic. Didn't have any details poking out or anything like that. A male supermodel, we can take the legs then of the supermodel, and we're gonna use that, of course, for the legs here, but we'll give different kind of feet and whatnot just to make this a little bit not only taller, but also a little bit more accurate to Sammy Lawrence's design in Chapter 2, of course, for Bendy and the Ink Machine. So I took a phantom and just grabbed the body piece of the phantom. We're gonna put that down here beneath the shoes, so paint all of that stuff pitch black, so even that male supermodel shoes and whatnot, and we're gonna use grass then to go above that. So this basically is gonna give that very inky illusion. You know, if you ever saw Sammy walk in Chapter 2, you can look down at his feet and they just sort of inch away with an inky effect, really. And I used a germ just now in Scribblenauts Unlimited for one of the patches there on his legs for the overalls and stuff. A minus sign is what I've typed in after that. We are going to use this twice, of course, for each of the overall straps. Just a little bit of detail, and I'm going to type in Tim Borelli to then grab the back arm of Tim Borelli, one of my favorite Fifth Cell members' arms to use, because that back arm just looks so crazy looking. It's got like three little rounded parts to it. Just gives the illusion of some more inkiness there on his overall straps. And with this, we're going with a jellyfish. You can type in that and get the kind of upper tentacle piece. It's right next to the jellyfish's body, but you can grab any of those tentacle pieces that'll just give you a black line. We did that kind of near the top of the straps for his overalls right here, but then Sammy's also got some more scuffs and details and things. And something I did actually in the Mimic You episode when I created Mimic You was I used a pine cone and colored different parts of the pine cone according to kind of make it look like the scribbles on Mimic You's Pikachu cheeks and stuff. Well, this here is a similar principle, just to make some ink scuffs and detail there. So you saw that on the side that would be to our left, of course. It's Sammy's right. But here now we put down a gelatin to be the neck, and I'm going to use a golden egg actually as this kind of ink head. So this is one of the first times in the series that we actually do have the head on, but we're still going to be creating a separate head piece that's going to go over it, because of course Sammy Lawrence in Chapter 2 is wearing this crazy Bendy mask, and so with that we needed this ink head to be behind that. So you can see that I do have a head in place right now where the head should be, with a glow stick, pretty thin but painted there for the string to hold that mask on. And this is the properties editor. It's just where you can edit health and other things for your character, and so I like to read background information and fun facts about whatever we're creating here in this series at this moment. So let's go. Sammy Lawrence is seemingly the main antagonist of Bendy and the Ink Machines Chapter 2, and perhaps what you'll hear after this is just some very minor spoilers, as I mentioned before, if you haven't seen that whole chapter of the game at this point, so be warned, lightly. He ends up knocking out the player with an attempt for a horrifying sacrifice that would please the almighty Bendy, having Sammy himself freed of his ink-like form, but he was once a human being, actually the director of the music department for the shows featuring Bendy and the crew, but his inky form that we see in Chapter 2 appears as a black humanoid figure with overalls and wearing a scuffed-up Bendy mask. Many theories already float around, and I'm sure many of you have made the connection that I will theorize here, just a theory, which is that Sammy and Boris wear very similar overalls. We even see Boris show himself at the end of Chapter 2 after running from Crazy Evil Monster Inc. Bendy, and time will tell. We'll find out more in Chapter 3, but I do wonder of their potential connection. I am suspicious. So just with some last kind of looks at our Sammy Lawrence character, we're then going to move on to the, well, it's not exactly the head, but it's rather the Bendy mask. So as I described before, he's got that scuffed up mask. With that, we're going to copy our head from when I created Bendy. You know, the original character of Bendy that I created? That was episode 218. You can go back to see that, kind of how I created it, but there are basically several slots open for still some more stamp space. So let's create that mask here right now. So again, copying that Bendy head from that last episode where I created Bendy, I'm just sort of making this mask here a little bit wider. I know that we are looking at it from a quarter turn kind of perspective view, but that's okay. I'm just sort of trying to make the eyes a little bit farther apart. But we also have now typed in Tim Borelli. We're going to take that back arm again, and we're going to paint it all black. It's going to be for the hole, you know, there's kind of a gaping hole there for where Bendy's mouth is on that little mask. And then this is a new stamp for the series, a dipstick. We're basically making that to be some cracking, and it's going to go over the eye that's to our left. And so you can see where I've put that, hopefully. And then we got a tornado. There's kind of a bottom right piece of a tornado that we can use, and that'll be for like some white where the black ink is kind of scuffed and marked off, I guess, on Bendy's eye. That would be, again, to our right. And so here I've chosen another stamp that we haven't used in this series before, which is a garden rocket, and it's this plant kind of flower thing that looks like this. I guess it's technically a plant. I'm pretty sure it's synonymous with arugula in this game, and it has separate leaves in the stem that we can color each sort of section to be different colors. So I'm basically just making it have this white on the far, I guess it would be the left end of the garden rocket, and the right side. So everything else I colored that pitch black color, and we basically turned it upside down and put that in the top right of the Bendy mask here. That's to our top right, of course. And with this moss, we are now reaching the stamp limit. Haven't maybe explained it this episode, but I've explained it many times in this series. Scribblenauts Unlimited does have a limit to how many pieces you can put on in your objects, so we create the head and the body separately often to get around that. But with this mask here, you want to just go into the properties editor, like for connecting any head to a body, check off that third circle down at that bottom half of the screen that says can be worn on the face like glasses. That should do it. So after filling in that circle, you can see that we've got our two pieces right here. We got Sammy Lawrence, kind of the main body and everything, but then we've got the Bendy mask there on the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and put that, you know, it's just acting like you're giving an object into the hands of the body object right here, but then it puts it in the right spot because of that script for can be worn on the face like glasses. So here we can remove the mask and do that one more time. Not give it to me, I'm going to remove it off of me too. And there you go. So you can see that it is a little bit far forward, which is good. We want the mask to be like forward. This is not the head of Sammy, it's a mask that he's wearing. So we want to see a little bit of that golden egg head that we originally created on the body character of Sammy Lawrence right here in Scribblenauts, as well as that glow stick string behind that. So I would say that this is sort of a good, again, we're looking at him at like a quarter turn, so it's not like a half sideways view or anything like that, but it's not straight on to the character, so that'll work. But let's go ahead and now we can show you how to create that ink monster Bendy, you know, kind of from the end, the evil Bendy that shows up. Again, if you haven't seen Chapter 2 at this point, you know, you've already been warned about spoilers and whatnot, but this is the Bendy sort of after Sammy tries to make the sacrifice and everything. It says to escape Bendy, and because we don't really, you know, everybody wants to run from Bendy at that point, that's the mission, we don't really get a good look at this Bendy. Even if you don't run from him for a while, you still have a hard time kind of seeing all the details and whatnot, so we started off with the Yeti as the source object because we do at least know that this Bendy, it's a lot bigger, and it's not necessarily fat or anything, but it does have a little bit more body mass, I would say, than the original kind of Bendy little cartoon character. And so I've taken a golem, the thigh piece, and we can basically make that down where the feet are supposed to be for this Yeti, which we did take off the feet of the Yeti, but we're gonna add a little bit more details and stuff down at the bottom, so you'll see that in a second, how that materializes. But we got a treant right now. The treant's basically bicep or shoulder piece, and connects a little bit down to the arm, you know, close to the forearm, I guess, but not all the way there. So we took that to be in the same spot for our inky Bendy here, the monster Bendy. And so I've taken a golf ball now with 2 fangs. So the fangs are actually going to be for the pieces of the bow tie and stuff that Bendy's got on, the golf ball for the middle of it. Kenpo is what I originally used for the arm that's on this side right now. It's to our left. I actually go over that. So you are going to see that this Bendy right here, this is sort of the slowed down and normal pace version of my Speed Create episode that I did before. It was earlier on in the week that I aired this. So I am going to make some adjustments, you know, to make this a little bit more just accurate to what I've seen since then, since that Speed Create episode. So you will see that Kenpo arm change. So you don't need that Kenpo arm actually right now. We took an octopus tentacle piece. It's almost bent at like this 130-degree angle probably, I would say. Vegetarian's back arm, you can take the female or the male probably and it would work out, and that's going to be for the thumb. That's the equivalent of taking on the 29-page library on the 3rd page. There's this sort of, I guess, semi-wide looking fat arm right there that you can take. Well, then we also took the beauty's back arm, and so all of these are going to be the fingers and thumbs here, with the golf ball being the base of the gloves, the kind of the main part of the hand. Right there on the arm to the right, it would be to our right, and of course that's Monster Bendy's left arm. So gravy is what we're going to use down here, kind of where the feet are supposed to go. I gave them a little slushy pattern to them, but painted them mostly black, so there is a little bit of detail in there, but you can't see a whole lot of it. And so we're just going to codename this as Evil Bendy. It actually does not have a name as of the recording of this episode. I would say specific name. Theories and guesses are just theories and guesses until they are proven, and so far they have not been proven. But alright, you can see that the main adjustment was just making the golf ball and those little fingers and thumb and everything on this side, which is the left side, I should say. And so you can see as I moved the right one out of the way, that was the design for the gloves. Well, I just replicated that on the other side. So that's the main change that I made since last episode's Speed Create of that Bendy. And so here we started off with the head as a source object and gave it this color pattern or texture pattern, and I'm actually going to color over that part black and instead give that texture pattern to the hemisphere. I think that that's going to be better. That's kind of what I meant to do. Go ahead and type in Tooth Fairy after this, and the equivalent of the 22nd page of the 29-page library, an arm shape on that end, is actually a Tooth Fairy female's back arm, and so we're actually going to use that, and I just typed it in so you guys could see what that was. And so a jellyfish, we can take that same kind of tentacle piece that's near the body, creates that black line. That'll be for some lines in the teeth here. Looking good. There are more in the real, I guess, model of Bendy or whatever, this crazy monster Bendy, I should say. And for this purposes, of course, with Scribblenauts Unlimited stamp space, that's why I only did these kind of 3 lines. And so we got tornado pieces. Hopefully you saw where I grabbed those, but you can pretty much determine where they came from just by looking at them. That'll be for some inkiness dripping down from his face onto the white part here. And a great white shark, we can take that top fin, the dorsal fin, and use that to be the horns right here. Devil horns, crazy looking. Angioma, you probably would not know what that is. Most of you, I would say. Some of you might, if you have it. It's like a skin tumor type thing. I'm simplifying, of course. And so we use that to be some ink, I guess, just sloshing around there on top of his head, just kind of smeared all around. Just gives it some texture and depth to it, I guess. A baboon, not the far end tailpiece, but that little tailpiece that's right next to the body of the baboon. We use that to be some more ink dripping. So, of course, a reminder, just go to the equipment tab in the properties editor and check off that circle right there, second from the bottom, that says can be worn on the face like glasses. And so that means when we put the head piece into the body, object's hands, or whatever, it's going to go mostly in the spot that we want it to go into, and then you can just make the adjustments with the green grids after that on your body object if it's not exactly in the spot you want it to be in. Here I just sort of put down some angry dude. It's literally a dude, and just to see how our Bendy attack is animated. The Yeti attacks by kind of flailing its back foot up. You know, you can see its foot go up. I know that that looks a little bit goofy, so we can actually see that again. We're going to go ahead and just use an angry, brave, strong ox. I'll go with an ox, just as a random animal for it to fight. And so you can see again there, that foot, when I was speaking about it, I meant it's the front leg. You know, it kind of kicks up backwards. And so we do have Bendy here shooting ink as a projectile, just like our cartoon little Bendy shot. Let's go ahead and fast forward. This battle's gonna take a while, but that's all right, because Monster Bendy has won it here. The ox turned into meat. That is crazy. And I certainly hope that you guys have enjoyed kind of seeing, of course, the design for Sammy, but a more slowed down version of that speed create, so that hopefully now you can create your own version of the evil Monster Inc. Bendy at the end of chapter 2. And so in the plans, I would say somewhat near future, we're going to create a redesign of Boris now that we have chapter 2 and the updated chapter 1 images for dead Boris on chapter 1. But they've given him overalls and gloves and all of that for chapter 1. But of course, chapter 2, you can see Boris at the end, and we'll probably make that Boris pretty soon. But I do just want to announce something special. Next Sunday is going to be the next Kendo crossover. So if you guys remember, there's 5 Nights at Kendo's part 1 and 2. There's Kendo Tale. There's the Steven Universe version, which is Kendo Universe. All of those great episodes that I get a lot of good feedback on. You guys wanted to see another one, and so we've got that coming up next weekend. So most popular, most requested objects will be tallied for the next week after that. So feel free to keep voting beyond into next week's episode too. And I will catch you guys on the next vid. Thank you so much for your support, and thanks for viewing. Spectacle so you can be the viewer, and
down the road of twists and turns.